lockout, like the November, baseball was at a high. I mean, I guess also part of it was because of the lockout and everyone was trying to sign before, but still, like, baseball was in the news every single day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 450 Dead Center channel. Chris here with Daniel.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, we're talking about the lockout again because it's still going. So, yeah.
And it's not looking good.
Nope, not looking good at all.
This is so bad. Like,
It's so bad for the sport,
really
especially
is.
considering
It really is.
baseball was at such a high last year, and now they're just like, oh, guess what? Nothing.
Well, not even that. Like, going into the lockout, like the November, baseball was at a high. I mean, I guess also part of it was because of the lockout and everyone was trying to sign before, but still, like, baseball was in the news every single day.
Yeah, especially when there was a player pretty much, or even two, three, signing every single day for like massive amounts of money. And now, ever since, when did the lockout start? The early December?
December 1st.
Yeah, December 1st. Like, there's been nothing. And we've seen the owners and the players be so far apart in terms of just what they want versus what the other, like, party wants. And it's just so bad. And it's not going to get better anytime soon, I don't think.
I mean, well, they have agreed on some stuff, but before we break that down, Chris, just make sure everyone hits that like button down below and also subscribe. We're almost at 500 subs, which is so cool. So
Almost there.
hopefully
So
we can
close.
reach that soon.
Yes.
But go back to the video here. They've actually agreed on two things, which, I mean, like,
Hey, it's better than nothing.
I guess it's progress.
See, it's like baby steps, like very small baby steps.
This is stuff that should have been done like 5-6 years ago,
Agree.
in my opinion.
Yeah. So what did they sign, Daniel? What did they agree on? Because there's a lot.
The first thing they've agreed on, and Commissioner Rob Manfred announced it, I believe, last Thursday, so the 10th of February. I want to say he announced it. He announced that there's going to be a draft lottery.
Okay.
So that addresses the issue about tanking. And he also announced that there's going to be a universal DH.
Okay. So both of these, in my opinion, are for the better of baseball.
I agree.
In the long run, like 100%. Like a draft lottery is
as long as they don't mess up the draft lottery.
Yeah.
Like how the NHL had it at first.
Well,
you had teams that were like just missing out of the playoffs, like the Oilers, all of a sudden get Connor McDavid. But
did they mention how the draft lottery is going to work?
They didn't mention anything about how it would look like, but I'm assuming they're going to adopt the one that the NBA and the NHL have, where you can only move down, like, I think a maximum of 2 spots.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
But it's not the worst. Like, if you're the worst team in the league, the worst pick you can get is 3rd.
That's pretty good. I mean, I'm okay with that. Where did the Jays finish last year? What did we finish, like, what, 8th, 9th? I don't remember in terms of record wise. So I guess like maybe the highest pick we can have would be like 10th last, if it is something like that. But then if you're the Pirates this year, I believe they were the worst. Was it the Pirates? I don't even remember.
They were.
The Pirates or even the Rangers, they all suck. Or even Baltimore. So yeah, the worst they can get is 3rd, which is still 3rd overall draft pick. Very good.
The D-backs were the worst.
Oh, okay. So yeah, D-backs worst they can get is like the 3rd overall pick. So I'm okay with
Baltimore had the worst thing together.
Yeah, so that also, I guess that kind of stops the tanking issue. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I think the Jays finished. How many teams make the playoff? 10?
10?
Right?
8.
I think we finished like 11 or 12th in the league.
Yeah, well, we had higher records than some of the other teams. Yeah, so yeah,
roughly somewhere 11 and 12. But I mean, like I said, I agree with you. I think it is for the better of baseball. I hate teams tanking.
Yeah, like I think teams will still tank because the worst you can drop is 2 spots or gain 2 spots.
It'll still happen, but it won't be as bad. And we've always talked about there's a way to tank and there's a way not to tank. If you're tanking because you're playing all your young players,
that's fine.
That's fine. Like, I get it. Like, take the Orioles for example because we see them the most.
Yeah.
They have so much young talent. If they just start playing their young talent and whatever, they win 50 games again, at least there's a positive for the fans.
Yeah, plus you'll see like glimpses of brilliance from those players. Like what the Oilers have done since I believe 2016 was the last time they made the playoffs was just nothing. They have their old
Yeah.
players keep playing and they suck. Then they bring in random guys on 1 year contracts that nobody cares about and they suck. And like you need young players mixed with like those old players that can really help teach those young players how to actually be in the MLB. Like that's cool. Like it's kind of what the Jays did in 2019 and 2020, but the Oilers or not the Oilers, the Orioles haven't done that. They've just sucked. That's their like tanking.
They they don't look like they have a plan at all.
Mm-mm.
And it kind of looks like their plan right now is just okay, let's lose as many games as we can.
Yeah, get as
Which
many
like
prospects as we possibly can and
yeah,
then see
which
what
like I
happens.
feel so sorry for the Baltimore fans because one, you guys have such a nice park.
I
I
like
know you've been there, Chris. Like
I
you've told
have.
me all about it.
It
It's
was nice.
super
I
nice
mean,
and
I was
pristine.
kind of young and it was like 100 like 15
Yeah,
degrees Fahrenheit. But you know what? It was fine. It was that's like 40 by the way,
yeah. It
Celsius.
was hot that day. I
Yeah.
remember you telling me they were handing out ice,
Free ice. Yeah.
but they have such a nice park and they have one of the nicest jerseys in the league. Don't get me wrong. They're black and orange
Yeah.
and your orange and blacks are so nice.
Mm-hmm.
But the franchise hasn't done anything. It's the same with the Diamondbacks. They have such a cool stadium. Franchise really hasn't done anything.
Yeah, exactly. But well, what can you do? Like these teams, they also aren't the teams that will spend like upwards to the base the salary cap as well. But then you also don't need to, like we've seen with Tampa and Oakland all these other years.
Yeah.
So they yeah, like you were saying this before, they don't have a plan. And when they have a plan, maybe something happened and it just kind of ruined it, I guess. Maybe they put all their chips in one basket. I don't really know.
I mean, they had a plan
Hmm.
and it didn't work out. And then they just haven't made a new plan. That's basically what happened. Like they had 2016, which was their year,
Yeah.
really, if they wanted to compete.
Even
Didn't
2015,
happen.
2014,
Even
like all those years with
2015.
Chris Davis, like
Yeah, even 2017, they were decent. They weren't terrible.
yeah, they still were
And
good, but
they weren't amazing. And then all of it, they just kept the same thing over and over again. It just seems like it's a lost franchise, and it's so sad to see. But I'm really hoping that this draft lottery, it not only helps them and realizes that, hey, like we have to start actually trying to play here, but it
hmm
also helps like other teams who, they might be like I'm gonna take a team like what's their name? The Tigers there.
yeah.
Like they're not like give Tigers a year or two, they're not a terrible team
No.
anymore. But even if they might finish like sixth or fifth again, where they move up the first place, like that's not terrible.
hmm
Like, it just kickstarts their competitive window, I guess, the best thing.
Yeah, and then also things about the draft lottery is that some teams could get very lucky. Like you could see maybe 1 year the Diamondbacks finish last, they get the third pick, which sucks, but I mean whatever. But then there's other years, they'll finish third, and then they could get the first pick for like three or maybe even 4 consecutive years, like kind of like what the Oilers did. So there is a luck factor to it, but it's not like you finish third in the entire league and then all of a sudden you get lucky and get first overall pick and then your team's golden.
I think it's also you have to remember, unlike other sports like hockey and basketball and even football, American and I guess European football.
Hmm.
Uh, there's no like baseball's one of the sports where the first overall pick, just because you get the first overall pick, doesn't mean you're gonna get a complete stud,
That's true.
right? Like we just did a whole video of redrafting the Mike Trout draft, and so many of those guys didn't even make the playoff, like make the MLB in the first round. So
And Mike Trout wasn't first overall pick. He was what, 22nd, 23rd? Rand
23rd, something like that.
Randall
Yeah,
Grichuk was
like
the pick before Mike Trout in the actual 2009 draft.
yeah,
So,
so it's like the draft lottery. Like just because you get third doesn't mean you're gonna get a terrible player. Who knows? The guy could be garbage anyhow. Who's gonna get taken number one? So
well, we saw that
it's
last year's draft. Like, I mean, I'm
yeah,
not saying that the Pittsburgh Pirates drafted somebody garbage. Like, they drafted probably the best catcher in the draft. But we saw, I think it was Jordan Lawler and who's the other guy that
Jack
Marcel
Leiter.
Mayer, Jack Leiter, Mayer. Like those guys got drafted like second, third, fourth, fifth, and all that. So those are still really good players that you want on your team. So it's not all that bad if you get second or third overall pick too.
No, I'm right there with you. I think it is for the better, and also I want to mention that now you can do a whole. I'm not sure how many of our fans from America will be uh not recognized. What's the word?
I don't know what you're gonna talk about here.
Like exposure, whatever. I don't know how many or American fans know what the NHL does for the draft lottery when they're broadcasting it, but they basically do like an hour and a half like show
Hmm.
revealing the order, right?
Oh, really? I've
I
never
mean,
watched it, so I think it's boring.
but still, if the owners want more money, like that's more money coming into the game.
Yeah, like I remember
So
watching the Raptors draft lottery last year, and when
yes,
they got
or the
what do we got,
basketball one does it
fifth overall
too.
pick or was it third? I don't remember, but
I don't remember what we
I think it
got.
was third. But that was interesting to watch because we moved up a couple spots than what we should
Yeah,
have.
but that was my point. My point was you like you're gonna basically like make money from it if you do it right.
Exactly. No, I agree. It's kind of like the actual sort of like the draft, you know? Like, because people
Yes.
watch the draft. The draft is interesting. Well, for some people, it's interesting. For some people, I mean, it's usually just the first round that's interesting. But
And some people in
yeah,
Canada don't even get the draft, so
yeah. I wonder who those people are.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but moving on here, Chris, the
yeah.
universal DH was the other big thing,
Oh, thank God.
and I saw this stat just before. I'm gonna pull out my phone just because I saw it.
Yeah.
Um, the some guy basically added up all the hitting stats from the 2021 season for pitchers,
Hmm.
and it basically just sums up why we need pitching, not pitching, DH in the NL.
I've been saying this since like what 2015 when I really started to get like covering baseball and all that. You know, like
Yeah,
loving it. So like
I
it's
mean, pitchers just to put it in respect for everyone. Last year, pitchers had 4,157 at bats. Okay,
hey, it's actually quite a lot.
that's a lot of at bats.
Hmm.
And out of those at bats, 2,143 of them were strikeouts on three pitches.
Nice. And how
And
many of them
as
are
well,
strikeout looking? It's probably a lot of them.
it doesn't say that,
Yeah.
but it says they had 2,000. About half of them were strikeouts. Look, in three pitches.
Hmm.
As well, pitchers overall hit 108 with a 147 and 137.
Wow, epic.
So
That's what you
basically, nine
want.
out of 10 times you're giving away a free out.
That is, yeah. And then I'm pretty sure most of those, you know, some of the people who bring up that batting average are like what, DeGrom,
Bumgarner.
Bumgardner.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guys who can actually sort of hit. But like
Otani. Like
they're
Otani probably in. That's it. That's
oh
including
right,
Otani
that's including
stats,
Otani
right?
stats. Oh God, take out Otani stats.
Like that's including Otani stats.
Oh
So
no,
that
it's
just
not
puts
good.
that just puts into perspective how bad pitchers are hitting, and it makes sense. Like no one pays their pitcher to hit
Yeah, don't forget
unless you're
Otani
Otani.
won the
But
MVP as well. So
yeah,
yeah.
like
The universal DH is so much better for the sport. You don't, because how many times has there been like runners on like first and second, and all of a sudden you're playing an NL team, and then you're like, oh, this guy has to hit now, like Robbie
yeah,
Ray, yeah, and then
yeah.
he just strikes out in three pitches, kills the rally. Like it's terrible.
Like I get it. It's cool every time a pitcher gets a hit or when a pitcher goes yard.
Yeah, it is.
That's once in a blue moon. It happens once a year, maybe twice a year.
Yeah,
Like I rather see guys like I'm gonna use Nelson Cruz as an example, who he doesn't just have to stay in teams in the American League anymore.
exactly. It could prolong like players' career now. Like all those
Yeah.
old guys who just can only hit now. Now they don't have to stay with an American League team, and then then opens up 15 more teams for them to go to. It's so much
As
better.
well, I was gonna say it also jumpstarts young players' careers because now you have like say
Mm-hmm.
um I don't know, I'm gonna use the Dodgers for example. You have a lineup that's stacked, and you have some young guys coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can put someone like Justin Turner to DH, who, let's be real, he's getting up there in age,
Mm-hmm.
right? And throw a young guy at third base, start his
Exactly.
career up.
It's so much
So
better for the sport, and it'll increase audience retention because nobody wants to see a pitcher just stand there and strike out in three pitches. You rather see someone who's, there because they can hit. And
agreed.
yeah, it's just better for the sport. It should have been done a long time ago. Like the game's changing. I know those old farts who vote for the Hall of Fame don't want it to change, but we all do. So, yeah.
It's it's inevitable.
Inevitable.
Inevitable. It's gonna happen. Like the game change. All games change.
Hmm.
Baseball, I would say, probably changes the slowest out of them all.
Oh my God, yeah. So slow.
Let's be real.
Like apparently it's still the
analytic area.
1930s. It's the
It's the
1930s
analytic
and yeah,
era, to be honest. Like,
it is.
so it's just improving the game, and we both. I'm sure you have the same opinion. I mean, these two things, one, are gonna increase audience attention, and two, might even bring more money into the game.
It probably will. It probably will. Because people want to see runs scored. And what's one good way of getting runs scored? Not having a pitcher hit. You know,
Exactly.
it's so much
And
better.
plus, as we've mentioned a lot, just save the pitchers from injury. Like they have enough problems on the mound worried about comebackers coming at them and their arms blowing out. They don't
Yeah.
need to worry about hitting a 99-mile-per-hour fastball.
Yeah,
Like,
like, did you see Max Scherzer try to bunt a couple years ago? The
yeah,
guy blacked out his eye. Like, oh, God.
I know. Well, the lockout. I was gonna say before we wrap up here,
Hmm.
it doesn't look like the season's gonna start on time.
I think the
I mean,
season will. Spring training definitely isn't. Like, they're supposed to report, I
I
believe,
don't
this
think so
week.
because I think they were gonna. I think even if they get a deal today, because like as you said, pitchers and catchers are supposed to report today.
Hmm.
Um, even if they do report today, like I feel like they still have to push it back a couple days because I don't think they want what happened in 2020 where they had that accelerated like spring training and then all of a sudden everyone was getting hurt every 2 seconds.
Yeah, but I think they would sacrifice spring training for, a full MLB season. That's what I think would happen. And plus, I believe players are still training right now as it is like a regular season. They just can't go with their like respective teams. Like I
Yeah.
think who's our
Fun
representative?
fact,
It's Ross
actually,
Stripling.
before we talk about this,
Hmm.
I didn't tell you this, but Saturday at the place where I coach, my brother's team,
Yeah,
um, in the batting cage beside us was Zach Pop of the Miami Marlins
I don't know who
throwing
that is.
a live at bat. He's one of the pitchers there, but he
Oh,
was
okay.
throwing an live at bat against Josh Naylor, Bo Naylor, and their younger brother.
Where the heck does your brother play? The heck? I thought he
Yeah, they're
was.
at this facility they were at,
The heck
but
is this facility? This is a good facility. Not gonna lie, we should
yeah,
go
no,
there.
it's a sick facility. Yeah, so
Put our team over there.
I can attest that they are still training. It
Yeah,
was
no,
pretty cool to see.
yeah, exactly.
But
They are still training. Like, I remember Ross Stripling because he's the player representative for the Blue Jays, I believe. So he told like the other players who, I mean, I guess are on the Jays, but they're not on the Jays right now
yeah,
because thing to continue as normal. And I know Ryu actually he's doing stuff in Korea right now because I think he's just playing around. I don't know what he's doing.
there was a bunch of them I think also are in Dominican playing.
Exactly. Like they're just staying loose, which is exactly what
Yeah,
you need to do. And I'm pretty sure all the teams are doing it anyway, so it's fine. It's basically just spring training, just not legally spring
yeah.
training.
I still say that I think they just might push it back, even if it's just a week.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and they just push the whole regular season a week.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
As for people who saying they don't think there's gonna be a season, like I
there's
don't know. I think
there's
there's gonna
gonna
be a
be one.
season,
There's gonna be.
hundred
I think we're
percent.
gonna get like a full
They
season.
can't afford to not have a season.
Yeah, no, they can't. They
In my
can't do
opinion.
that. That'll just be so bad for the sport, and then the sport will just pretty much die at that point.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like it basically what happened in '94 with the whole lockout.
The year the
Um,
Expos were probably gonna
the
win.
year the Expos should have won the World Series,
Yeah.
but '94. If it happens again, I mean, it'll be really hard for baseball to recover.
Yeah. You know,
Because like at least they had steroids back then; they could hit jacks.
steroids. Yeah,
Which is
exactly.
another thing. Apparently, because the negotiations stopped, they don't have an agreement for steroid testing anymore.
That's so funny. All of a sudden, we're gonna
So
see like Vladdy show up like absolutely like John Cena, just hitting like 60 bombs. Oh well.
yeah, I mean, if they just forget to negotiate that, we could have another
Steroid era.
75 home run season from someone. So
And then all these guys won't make the Hall of Fame. There we go. All right, let's wrap it up here. If you guys did enjoy, if you enjoyed our opinions on the lockout, because there's really nothing else to talk about, you know what to do. Comment down below what you think. Do you like the universal DH? Do you like the draft lottery? Let us know. That being said, see you guys next time. Goodbye.